Are you wanting high-speed internet but don't have access to PUD fiber? Try Sky-Fi high-speed wireless internet from LocalTel. Call 888-8888 today. It's time for NCW Life News on the NCW Life channel. The latest from the Wenatchee Valley and North Central Washington with Steve Hare, Grant Olson, and sports with Eric Granstrom.
Good evening and welcome to NCW Life News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to today's top stories, let's take a quick look outside our weather window today and what we're seeing. Yeah, haze and smoke all over north central Washington. It was over in our area over the weekend as well. Today, a little heavier areas of smoke, unhealthy air for much of north central Washington. Here's a look at where that smoke is coming from. We are seeing it from fires around Northern California, also Oregon. And here's a look at Washington State fire map right now. Our biggest smoke problem coming from the Jolly Mountain fire. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later on in our newscast. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. An update, as I mentioned, on the Jolly Mountain fire. Several roadwork projects caused delays, and the community turns out for the first Run with the Cops event over the weekend. Later on, we'll have sports, your weather forecast, and our feature story today. But first, a three-car accident early yesterday evening just north of East Wenatchee sent a Wenatchee man to the hospital and an East Wenatchee man facing felony charges. The State Patrol reports that shortly before 4 last night, 26-year-old Nilton Cruz of East Wenatchee, he was northbound on Sunset Highway just north of Bob File Boats and Motors when his Dodge Ram pickup crossed the center line and collided with a trailer being towed by a semi that was driven by 46-year-old Jose Benitez of Quincy. Cruz's truck then struck a Dodge Dakota pickup head-on, driven by 51-year-old Brent Hampton of Wenatchee. Washington State Patrol Trooper Brian Moore explains what happened next.
The vehicle was northbound on SR 28B, Sunset Highway, crossed the center line, ended up striking the trailer of a semi, and then eventually going head-on with another pickup. The driver of the causing vehicle ran on foot. Fire resulted from the collision. Douglas County was able to quickly apprehend the causing driver, take him into custody. He was subsequently booked for felony hit and run with injuries and misdemeanor hit and run for property damage. Minor injuries were extremely fortunate. However, the roadway was closed for several hours when we investigated the collision.
Hampton was transported to Central Washington Hospital in Wenatchee, where he was treated and released. Neither Cruz nor Benitez were injured in the accident. Both pickup trucks involved were totaled in the crash, and State Patrol says drugs and alcohol were not involved. Over the weekend, helicopters dropped nearly 55,000 gallons of water on the Jolly Mountain fire, and 2 Fire Boss scooper planes dropped an additional 30,000 gallons on the 4,682-acre blaze. Because of safety concerns with steep terrain and standing dead trees, firefighters are building indirect fire lines and evaluating opportunities to contain the fire at Sassy Ridge. The 2 scooper planes are set to continue working from Cle Elum Lake, and officials ask that residents stay away from where the aircraft are working. For more up-to-date evacuation information, you can check the Facebook page at Jolly Mountain Fire Info. Traffic saw minor delays in the Monitor and Peshastin areas earlier today as Chelan County Public Works performed scheduled bridge inspections, reducing traffic to 1 lane with flaggers. Motorists saw delays up to 20 minutes on the Monitor Bridge and the Peshastin Bridge. Similar delays will occur at the Ardenvor Bridge tomorrow morning as crews perform similar inspections. A 5-day road closure on a portion of Joe Miller Road in the Malaga area last week and into the weekend is now completed and built back up to 2 lanes. However, at least for most of this week, the road will remain open to only 1 lane of traffic until the project's contractor installs a new guardrail. The part of the roadway at milepost 2.20 and 2.24 is still gravel at this time, with paving scheduled for Wednesday. While Joe Miller Road is open at the work area, flaggers will control traffic until the project is completed. The portion of the roadway that's currently under construction was damaged in March of 2016 during a landslide. Jury selection in the trial of 61-year-old Bernard Swaim begins tomorrow. Swaim, who was charged with first-degree murder in the death of Stephen E. Smith of Kashmir, was originally scheduled to begin court last week. But his former wife, Dawn Souls, a co-defendant in the case, has agreed to testify against Swaim as part of a plea agreement. Investigators say 2 days after her arrest, Souls, who had also been previously married to Smith, admitted that she and Swaim plotted to kill Smith as part of a child custody dispute. Smith's body was never found. Coming up, Trump enacts a federal timber tariff. The Bucky Awards recognize 2 locals at Pybus, and summer comes to a close as area students get ready to head back into the classroom. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching NCW Life News.
I gotta tell you, I'm nervous.
Selling your home, it's a big step.
Can we find the right buyer in this market?
Look at our website. When someone looks at your home, I can tell how ready they are to buy. See that number? The closer it is to 100, the closer they are to buying. So, I know who to zero in on.
So you have a secret weapon.
You mean, we have a secret weapon.
I like that. Oh, what do you think of the wallpaper?
I love that touch.
No matter what your age or ailment, when you wake up each day with a sense of purpose, life has meaning and joy.
Just wait a while, it'll get in the hole somewhere.
Helping you do this is our purpose. Highgate Senior Living, each day to the fullest.
The best thing about my life right now is
me.
For a limited time, purchase any super clean pre-owned vehicle in stock at Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore and get your choice of a free family 4-pack season pass to Slidewaters Lake Chelan Water Park or the Wenatchee Super Oval. Choose from over 100 4x4s and all-wheel drive cars and trucks. 50 vehicles priced under 10 grand. And drive away with no money down, no payments for 90 days, and financing from 1.79%. And everybody knows we service what we sell at the Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore. Leonard Evans, where the name means a great deal.
The Trump administration has renewed its interest in possibly terminating the North American Free Trade Agreement. NCW Life's Jay Seebeck has the story.
President Donald Trump has renewed his interest in the reworking and possible termination of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which President Trump has emphasized as being the cause of thousands of lost American jobs. Earlier this spring, the Trump administration imposed a 20% tariff on Canadian lumber imports. This goes against the 2006 Softwood Lumber Agreement between the U.S. and Canada. The tariff was placed to make the American timber prices more attractive to domestic buyers. Canada has declared that they intend to seek legal action before the World Trade Organization if terms on the tariff are not renegotiated. We spoke with Ken Marson of Marson & Marson Lumber in Leavenworth earlier this year about the lumber tariff and where the timber crisis came from.
Back in 1993, I was able to go to the Presidential Timber Summit, and that's when they had the spotted owl controversy, and they cut so far back on timber, allowable timber cuts, and that really was a change to the industry back then. It's never really quite been the same. However, in the U.S., we actually have as many trees now as we did 100 years ago. They're not as big and stuff, but they certainly have some southern yellow pine forests down east, southeast really grow rapidly, and in terms of years, it's not quite as long as the Doug fir or hemlock forest out here. So, and there's some they've developed methods, the companies that, do logging and the timber companies that own it, the mill companies, they've developed many technologies to really have smart ways to harvest and grow and process the wood. So we'll see if there's more timber cut. I think it'd be a win-win for everybody, because the states, they get some of their resources for school or monies for schools from the sale of the timber and natural resources, which has gone way down the last few years too. So it'll be interesting to see if we see much change or not.
Lumber futures in Chicago have shown 14% growth in domestic sales since the tariffs were put in place. But the U.S. has also increased timber imports from other nations, such as Russia. Also, there is an expected increase in both Canadian and domestic timber sales following the destruction caused by Hurricane Harvey. I'm Jay Seebeck, NCW Life News.
Since 2010, the Bucky Award has honored those who work hard to be the voice for the voiceless victims. And 2 locals were honored on Friday for their hard work in winning a local case involving animal cruelty. The honorees are Sergeant Sandra Larson of the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society and Deputy Prosecutor Andrew Van Winkle of the Chelan County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Van Winkle says that while it's nice to be recognized in this case, it took many people spanning several years to complete the investigation.
I just want to know, Andrew, first of all, how did your passion for animals, when did that begin?
Oh boy, always grew up in a household full of pets. It's just been there my whole life.
So what's it like to be recognized for something that you're so passionate about?
You know, it feels pretty good because a lot of times, you know, prosecution, it's not something that gets recognition, and so it's just nice from time to time to have a little something that says, hey, keep up the good work. So, I mean, and it's not just me, I mean, it's my whole office. They like to know that, you know, there's people out there that recognize what we do and appreciate it.
And for people that don't know, this was quite an investigation, wasn't it?
It was. There was a lot of work that the really Animal Care and Control did. I mean, they really did all this. I just body in a courtroom for them to give voice to them in court, and it's all Animal Care and Control.
Bucky Award winners are selected by a panel of judges, including a retired police chief, a veterinarian, a private investigator, and other professionals. In addition to the award, Posado's Safe Haven also donates $2,500 to $5,000 to each individual winner to put towards continued animal cruelty training. Well, it's back to school week in North Central Washington. The fall term begins tomorrow, August 29th, in the Cascade, Cashmere, Eniat, and Chelan school districts, while school starts on Wednesday the 30th in both the Wenatchee and Eastmont districts. Law enforcement officials remind residents to watch for kids this week and say the infraction for passing a school bus with flashing lights is $419. Stay tuned tomorrow as we talk with local school officials from the Wenatchee School District about the 4x4 block schedule for this year. You're watching NCW Life News. Coming up next, your sports update, followed by today's feature story. That and much more still to come on NCW Life News. Stay with us.
Every golfer aims to play their best, and smart golfers turn to the Golfer's Edge to get the Golfer's Edge. PGA professional Ed Payne has you covered from tee to green. You can work on your swing or play 18 in air-conditioned comfort on the golf simulator. Tanya's Corner has all the apparel the golfer needs at sale prices. And Ed can even rebuild your favorite set of clubs or custom make you a brand new set. Ask how you can qualify for a free 30-minute lesson at the Golfer's Edge on Mission between Kittitas and Yakima.
At Doghouse Motorsports, we ride what we sell. There's a lot we could say about the CD Spark and the CD GTI, but ultimately, the ride says it all.
And now it's a sports update on the NCW Life channel.
And a happy Monday. Going to be a busy week, I'm sure, for families with kids going back to school. Going to be a busy week for us here at the NCW Life channel, as well as we have high school sports gearing up on Friday as the Wenatchee Panthers host Southridge in football. 7 o'clock, we'll have that live right here. And then Saturday, also live soccer action as the Wenatchee girls host Central Valley. That will kick off at 3 o'clock. Well, the Wenatchee Wild entertained the Trail Smoke Eaters over the weekend as training camp continues for both BCHL clubs. The mini games consisted of two two-period games Friday night and another two two-period games on Saturday night. Wenatchee won the opener Friday at the rink 5-2 on goals by recognizable names like Chad Suzuki and A.J. Vanderbeck. A new name helped the Wild win the second on a lone goal by Jacob Marty as Wenatchee down Trail 1-0. On Saturday, the Wild earned a 4-0 shutout to the opener and won the seesaw battle in the nightcap 4-2. Wenatchee wraps up their preseason with a pair of home games against the Langley Rivermen Friday at 7 and Saturday at 2 o'clock. Both games in the rink will be the normal three-period format. The Wild season begins on the road September 9th at Merritt. Wenatchee's home opener is September 16th against the Vernon Vipers. Hey, speaking of the Wild, real quickly here, we've got hockey night again Thursday night. They'll take on Chilliwack, and then a hockey mania coming up Sunday with 4 games back-to-back starting at noon right here on the NCW Live channel. Well, the Mariners, it didn't take long Sunday for them to lose ground on the Yankees and a wild card playoff spot in the process. Seattle committed 5 first-inning errors as New York plated 6 runs and went on for a 10-1 win. The Mariners have committed 13 errors in the past 6 games, a span of which the team has gone 3-3. Manager Scott Service said the first inning Sunday was embarrassing.
There was a lot of unforced errors. Defense, obviously we weren't ready to get after it there in the first inning, but I credit Albers hanging in there. Andrew kept throwing strikes. We just did nothing at all to help him out get through that first inning. And you make 5 errors and gets a quality club. There's no way to overcome that. So disappointing last couple days here in New York. We're in the middle of a long road trip, our longest of the year. We still have a chance to have a good trip. We got to turn around and get it on the right track over in Baltimore.
New York took 2 of 3 from Seattle after the Mariners won the opener on Friday 2-1 in 11 innings. The Yankees won Saturday 6-3. Service said this is not how they wanted their trip to the Big Apple to go, but they have no time to dwell on it.
Good defensive players. Certainly our outfield has been outstanding all year. Kyle's had a good year at third base. It was just the snowball got rolling and we couldn't stop it. But you got to step up. You got to make plays. Everybody knows that. We know we screwed up today, and nothing we can do about it now. We got to react in a good way tomorrow and get after it over in Baltimore.
The M's in Baltimore for the next 3 days. It was Marco Gonzalez on the mound against Chris Tillman today. In the American League wild card race, well, it was Minnesota topping Toronto 7-2. Cleveland clobbered Kansas City 12-0. It was Baltimore belting Boston 2-1. Houston topped the Angels 7-5. The standings of the wild card: Yankees out front, 3.5 games in front of Minnesota. You have the Angels and the Mariners a half game back at 66 and 65. Baltimore right behind Seattle at 2 games back. Kansas City 2.5 out. In the American League West on Sunday, as we mentioned, it was Houston topping the Angels 7-5. Oakland beat Texas 8-3. The standings have Houston on top at 79 and 51. Halos 13.5 game back. So too are the Mariners. Texas still sniffing a postseason spot. They're 15 games out. Well, Blair Walsh was 4 for 4 on field goal attempts. Russell Wilson looks to be in mid-season form, and the Seahawks down the Kansas City Chiefs Friday 26-13 at CenturyLink Field. Walsh, Seattle's new kicker after the departure of Stephen Hauschka, connected from 41, 36, 21, and 47 yards on the night. As Seattle improved to 3-0 in the preseason, Russell Wilson was 13 of 19 for 200 yards, a touchdown, connected on some pretty passes such as a 37-yarder to Chris Carson on the second play from scrimmage. Wilson also connected over 39 yards to Jermaine Kearse, 20 yards to Doug Baldwin, 30 yards to Jimmy Graham right before halftime. Carson led the rushing attack with 46 yards on 8 carries. Defensively, the Hawks settled down after giving up a long drive by the Chiefs to open the game that led to a field goal. Kansas City only had 69 yards rushing and 168 passing on the night. The Hawks finish up the preseason Thursday with a game in Oakland against the Raiders. Kickoff set for 7 o'clock. That's sports news. Let's continue right on to our feature story of the day. The 2017 NCW Fair in Waterville is in the books. Thousands of people came through the gates, watched a great concert Friday night, enjoyed the rodeo and races, and of course, all about the kids and their animals with 4-H and FFA exhibits. I spoke with fair manager Lonnie Rahm about her impressions of going through her first fair in Waterville as manager.
Move-in day is absolute chaos in a very organized manner. People are coming and going, and all of a sudden the barns that were empty and clean and tidy are full of livestock and kids, and there's noise and commotion, and it's just great fun, and the vendors are setting up. And then Thursday, it's like initially when we first opened, there's this little calm before the storm, and a few people are coming in. They're waiting when we open the gates, and then, I mean, it's just explosion time. And I'm not sure that it ever stopped exploding until move out last night.
Now, as the former manager of the fair for 2 years, I know about that feeling of relief you have when all the animals and kids are not left behind on Sunday night. By the sounds of it, the livestock auction Sunday continued to be the highlight of the NCW Fair with tons of animals and even more support.
Livestock it was a brisk sale. It was a long sale. There were an amazing number. I think it was close to a record number of animals went through the auction this year. And of course, Ann Whitehall, who also lives here for about 2 weeks before and after the sale, does not have the final figures yet on that, but she indicated that she thought it was going to be close to or definitely a record.
There are a few hiccups along the way, as would be expected with a first-year fair manager, but Rom was quick to thank the hundreds of volunteer man-hours put into making the fair happen, and she'd like to work on recruiting for next year's fair.
One of the most important things that I have on the top of the list, and I hope that people will enjoy this, we're talking about doing a volunteer recruitment fair in the community hall at some point, and having people that are interested in coming and helping out come and find out what's available, sign up for it, and hopefully there'll be a whole lot of people that just want to be a part of the fair for a couple of hours or a day, and that'll help us immensely.
So the NCW Fair is in the books. Now we head to the Chelan County Fair next week. That's your feature for today. We'll take a quick break and come back. Grant will have your headlines and your weather forecast next on the NCW Life channel.
Have a fun video you'd like to see featured on NCW Life? Email us at newsphotos@ncwlife.com. And now a recap of some of our top stories. A 3-car accident early yesterday evening just north of East Wenatchee sent a Wenatchee man to the hospital and an East Wenatchee man facing felony charges. The State Patrol reports that shortly before 4 last night, 26-year-old Nilton Cruz of East Wenatchee was northbound on Sunset Highway just north of Bob File Boats and Motors when his Dodge Ram pickup crossed the center line and collided with a trailer being towed by a semi driven by 46-year-old Jose Benitez of Quincy. Cruz's truck then struck a Dodge Dakota pickup head-on. That was driven by 51-year-old Brent Hampton of Wenatchee. Washington State Patrol Trooper Brian Moore explains what happened next.
The vehicle was northbound on SR 28B, Sunset Highway, crossed the center line, ended up striking the trailer of a semi, and then eventually going head-on with another pickup. The driver of the causing vehicle ran on foot. Fire resulted from the collision. Douglas County was able to quickly apprehend the causing driver, take him into custody. He was subsequently booked for felony hit and run with injuries and misdemeanor hit and run for property damage. Minor injuries were extremely fortunate. However, the roadway was closed for several hours when we investigated the collision.
Hampton was transported to Central Washington Hospital in Wenatchee, where he was treated and released. Neither Cruz nor Benitez were injured in that accident. Both pickup trucks involved were totaled in the crash, and State Patrol says drugs and alcohol were not involved. Over the weekend, helicopters dropped nearly 55,000 gallons of water on the Jolly Mountain fire, and 2 Fire Boss scooper planes dropped an additional 30,000 gallons on the 4,682-acre blaze. Because of safety concerns with steep terrain and standing dead trees, firefighters are building indirect fire lines and evaluating opportunities to contain the fire at Sassy Ridge. The 2 scooper planes are set to continue working from Cle Elum Lake, and officials asked that residents stay away from where the aircraft are working. For up-to-date evacuation information, check the Facebook page at Jolly Mountain Fire Info. Jury selection in the trial of 61-year-old Bernard Swaim begins tomorrow. Swaim, who was charged with first-degree murder in the death of Stephen E. Smith of Kashmir, was originally scheduled to begin court last week. But his former wife, Dawn Souls, a co-defendant in the case, has agreed to testify against Swaim as part of a plea agreement. Investigators say 2 days after her arrest, Souls, who had also been previously married to Smith, admitted that she and Swaim plotted to kill Smith as part of a child custody dispute. Smith's body was never found. And now your weather forecast for north central Washington. Before that, let's take a look Outside our weather window once again at a very smoky and hazy weather window as we look down at Wenatchee and of course the George Seller Bridge, the footbridge and the beautiful Columbia River. Haze kept our temperatures from reaching very hot temperatures today. We are about 90 or so in the Wenatchee area, but things will start to warm up as we take a look at our satellite loop. High pressure is centered over northern Nevada right now, and that will bring a heat wave our direction with widespread temperatures in the 90s to 100 degrees. That'll be for today and Tuesday for parts of Washington. Notice on our loop, the pinks, purples, and reds. Those are 90 to 110 degree temperatures, and yeah, they are all over the western United States. As we mentioned, wildfire smoke and haze was present most of the day and the weekend, and will stay with us tonight and tomorrow as we continue to see west to southwest winds. We will cool down just slightly by midweek into Friday, but then return to unseasonably hot weather once again by this weekend. Here's a look at that forecast, and we will see overnight lows on the mild side tonight. Still some haze out there, and 68 tonight. Tomorrow, I don't think we'll quite reach 100. It is in the forecast, but with that smoke, I think we'll stay at about 96 for your Tuesday, and then a bit of a cool down, as I mentioned, for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with temperatures in the upper 80s to lower 90s, and then right back to the heat by Saturday and Sunday. Sunshine both days, 96 your high Saturday and 97 on Sunday. And finally tonight, our own Eric Granstrom was on the Puget Sound over the weekend and captured this video of escaped Atlantic salmon from an aquaculture net pen. Eric also added that even though those fish may look like trout, to even small trout, they were anything but small. The smallest salmon at least 10 inches long, and Eric said there were thousands of those fish. And if you have a video of the day you'd like to see on NCW Life News, message us on our Facebook page at the NCW Life channel. And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-NCWL. That's 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us and have a great night.
This has been NCW Life News on the NCW Life channel. For more news, log on to ncwlife.com, like us on Facebook, and follow NCW Life channel on Twitter.
Reed's Marine in Manson has your boating needs covered, offering the superior Regal lineup with options from 19 to 53 feet. With the Regal Express line, you have the freedom to explore with an innovative interior and the largest headroom in its class. Don't forget the roomy cockpit with seating to fit the whole family. From 26 to 32 feet, Reed's Marine has the Regal Express to fit your needs. View our current inventory at ChelanBoat.com or stop by our Manson showroom on beautiful Lake Chelan and see the entire Regal line.
You know, I nail it, but that's not quite good enough. All right, the full-size SUV redesigned this year. Wow. The brand new Nissan Titan, the truck everybody's talking about. And as long as we got that, let's start over. 2017 Nissan, the best-selling SUV in America. I freaking had it. Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
Wenatchee Valley College is now offering 4-year degrees. The need for engineering technologists is rapidly growing, and the new Bachelor of Applied Science in Engineering Technology is designed to meet the needs of local employers. Students with an associate degree can complete the program in only 2 or 3 years. Don't wait! The program is accepting just 20 students for fall quarter. Apply now at wvc.edu/engineeringtech.